Escaping prison is something as likely as getting bit by a shark. A lot of people talk about it, but it's like a 0.0001% chance of actually happening. Welcome back to Top 5 Central, where today we're looking at the impossible and counting down our list of 5 prison escapes caught on camera. These are some of the most well-connected and dangerous criminals on the planet, so click the like button or else they might show up at your door. Might want to play it safe. Number 5. Everyone knows El Chapo. I mean, not only was he in charge of one of the biggest and most ruthless cartels in Mexico, but he's also one of the most famous modern criminals in the world. With that said, even though everyone knows his name, there's one thing you might not know about him. He's basically impossible to capture. Like seriously, cops have come close to arresting him tons of times, and they've even managed it once or twice. The thing is, he always gets away, and the key to his escape is pretty surprising. So here's the story. Back in 2014, police closed in on his hideaway, but they were stopped by a reinforced steel door that took them over 10 minutes to break down. I know that doesn't sound like much time, but it was more than enough for Chapo to push his bathtub out of the way and escape down a tunnel that led to a safe house over 2 miles away. Now that by itself is crazy, but his escape from prison is even harder to believe. Like as soon as he was locked up, his entire gang pulled together to break him out and built a network of tunnels 33 feet under the ground below his cell. They were serious too, like the tunnels have ventilation and lighting, and even a modified motorbike on a track so he didn't have to walk all the way. The tunnel entrance was just under a shower and was completely undetectable, even though whoever built it had to move over 350 truckfuls of dirt and sand to make it work. Number 4. So I know El Chapo might be the most famous criminal to break out of prison in the last few years, but he's definitely not the only one. These California crooks managed to break out of the high security wing of a max security prison, and they went over 2 weeks before they were found. So how'd they do it? Well, one of the legs of their bunk beds had been sawed off, and it could be moved to show a metal plate in the floor. Move that, and you're into plumbing shafts literally in the walls of the jails, which is a pretty gross but effective way to get out of your cell. After that, it's actually surprisingly simple. They keep climbing until you reach some metal bars, move them out of the way, and then all you have to do is scale down from the roof. Here is the weirdest thing though. The guys who escape were literally doing it for fun. I mean it, the guy literally filmed his escape just to brag about it. Once they escaped, they just hung out in a van drinking whiskey and eating snacks. And one dude even turned himself in because he really wasn't serious about escaping. Obviously, it's pretty terrifying that people could escape such a high security place at will, but be honest, it's also kinda awesome, am I right? Number 3. Prison escapes are obviously exciting. I mean, there's a reason so many movies have been made about them, but this one is even wilder than usual. Like, not only are the 2 guys making the escape convicted killers, but their escape plan is super intricate, and it honestly does seem like something out of a Hollywood crime flick. Here's what happened. The 2 guys spent weeks cutting holes into the back of their cells and subtly losing weight so they could fit through the tight squeeze. Then they dug through onto the walkways behind the walls and cut a tiny circle into the wall just big enough to get into the tunnel system. Now, if you think that sounds uncomfortable, well, you're gonna wanna brace yourself, because this is where things get even worse. Once they had got into the tunnel system, they had to get under the prison yard and outside the fences, which meant climbing into a steam pipe that could heat up at any moment. After that, then they had to shimmy their way down until they reached a manhole cover, which finally brought them out past the reach of the prison. Really thrilling, right? But I haven't even told you the best bit. Even though they had to climb, crawl, and walk for a fair amount of time before they could taste freedom, the whole escape took about 20 minutes, which is barely enough time to be missed. Number 2. Now, even though a lot of the criminals on this list have been killers, most of the escapes have actually been pretty non-violent, but that isn't always the way it goes. I mean, this dude's escape was way less planned and way more gruesome than any of the others we've looked at so far, and it was actually way less successful too. This dude managed to grab the key to his shackles while he was being transported, and he obviously decided to take his chance while he had it. As soon as the van door was open, he launched himself at the first officer, using a handmade prison weapon to take him on. As for the deputy, the dude raced to get the gun out of the van first, and managed to shoot him fatally in the chest. Now, to be fair, the guy did say later that he didn't mean to kill anybody, but that didn't stop him from jumping in the van, driving away, hijacking another vehicle, and trying for a getaway. Thankfully though, the dude was chased down within no time, and put away with no chance of release ever again. Like, I know prison escapes are cool and all, but it's hard not to agree that this guy got what he deserved. Before we get into our number 1 spot, here is our honorable mention. So normally when prisoners manage to escape, it's because 2 or 3 of them have managed to team up and come up with a plan. With that said, sometimes it's easier to get a huge group of people on board for an escape, because more chaos means more opportunity to get out. That's exactly what happened here. A whole youth detention center decided to riot all at once, setting their mattresses on fire and causing a blaze that took over the whole yard. Not just that, but 30 of the workers were held hostage, and the ones with the power were even beaten so hard they ended up in the hospital. Pretty brutal, I know, but it worked, because over 50 of the kids who had been locked up managed to flee in the madness. I've got no idea what happened to them once they got out. My guess is that they were rounded up and taken back pretty easily, but as far as escaping was concerned, it was actually pretty simple. I mean, all these kids had to do was get onto the outer wall and either jump down or shimmy down a tree, which is a really easy escape, unless you're scared of heights, that is. Number 1. I've said already that not all escapes are non-violent, and I mean it, because this breakout literally comes down to a flat-out brawl. Here's the setup. 2 dudes are on the phone opposite to an office with 2 guards in it, pretending to chat to their families while they wait for a fight to break out. Turns out one does, but it isn't luck. It's actually all part of the plan. Like, these 2 dudes persuaded other inmates to stage a fight, so when the guards opened up the door to break it up, they could rush them both, get out through the office, and escape. So the big question is, did it work? Well, almost. The 2 managed to rush the guards, but then it all came down to a scuffle, and one of the prisoners didn't make it out. Like, while one was fleeing to get to a getaway car, the other one ended up pinned to the ground by a guard, and I'm guessing the other one was caught pretty quickly too.
It was business as usual at almost 3 o'clock in the morning on June 28th. Here you see 2 jailers, a man and a woman. Look real close and you'll see 2 prisoners directly across from them. Through the glass, they're talking on 2 payphones in a secured area.
You don't have to say that.
Here's a better shot. You can even hear them talking.
No.
Trent Archie is a prisoner on the right. Archie and the other inmate stay on the phones for about 22 minutes. At times, both of them have their heads down. The sheriff says this was all part of the plan. Turns out the prisoner on the left wasn't even talking to anyone.
He was portraying to be using the phone, was faking it.
The sheriff says the men were waiting for a staged fight to break out in the jail. They knew officers would open a door and try to break it up. Watch what happens next. The pair barges into the jailer's area. In about a minute, Archie goes through another door, runs to a getaway car, and escapes.
My staff gave everything they could. They fought tooth and nail from the point that the 2 inmates actually entered the booking office area. They actually attempted to restrain and fight these individuals from the booking office all the way.
And there's our video on the top 5 craziest prison escapes caught on camera. If you enjoyed the video and you want to stay notified every single time we post a video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. Also, if you have your own top 5 or top 10 idea, feel free to use your Extremely Handy form down in the description to submit it. With that said, thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.